Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 3 of Voices Talk Show. What have been some of the joys and rewards that you have associated with your adoption?
For me, it's, one of the program requirements is you actually have to go there for a period of time.
Okay.
Each time we've adopted, we've been in China for 2 weeks each time. And just exploring their country and their culture is extremely rewarding. We've been through Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City. We've seen those places. So not a lot of people can say that they've visited those places and experienced those areas.
Going over to China was one of the greatest joys. Just seeing where our children had spent time in the orphanage, just the joy that they have brought to the family, and each year watching them grow and learn new things, and it's neat to watch.
I'm echoing your thoughts every time because we've been through the exact same experience, different provinces is all.
Were there any misperceptions that people had about the adoption process or being an adopted family that you have a story to tell about?
My biggest thing was, would my child bond with me? And she, it took a few days, but she bonded, and we've been inseparable since. I guess my biggest thing too was, would I love a child that I did not give birth to? And that was a fear of mine, but the minute I laid eyes on her, I knew she was mine, so.
Our daughter had been in an orphanage primarily and was cared for by females. And so I did develop a little fear when we were over there because she bonded with my oldest daughter first and then my wife, and didn't even want to look at me. So I'm like, uh-oh.
You really had to work at that fatherhood thing, didn't you?
Yeah, well, and as it turned out, they told me that she really hasn't seen a man before. So I'm laying in bed right next to the crib, and my little daughter looks at me and turns away and looks at me, and then she's looking to see where the two people she trusts are. And I thought, uh-oh. And all of a sudden, she held her arms up like this.
Aww.
And I went over, that meant, can you pick me up? And I picked her up, and she put her head on my shoulder, and I'll never forget that moment because she kind of exhaled, kind of did a, and that's the moment we bonded. And ever since then, it was like magic.
Can you think of a time when your child noticed that they were different from other children in school or the neighborhood? What was that like, and how did you address that?
Kind of one of those drives home from school where my daughter's staring away from me out the passenger window, and it's kind of a signal that maybe it was a tough day at school, or so I'd start talking, how was school today, how you doing, and usually it would finally come around to, like, I just really realize, now that I've been adopted. I don't think it fazed them earlier on, but I think they both were curious. I'm sure they were curious about I wonder what my birth mother looked like. I wonder how she's doing. And so we talked through that, and we transitioned through it very easily, those girls, but I think we needed to acknowledge it and say, I told them, and I told them because I believe it, I said, your mother loved you so much that she wanted you to have a good life that she probably couldn't provide financially or otherwise.
Yeah, we've had those
same conversations with our daughter. Are their parents still alive? Do I have siblings? Do I have family, or do they think about me? We've had those moments, and I think they've been great, and I think that every adopted child would question their background and where they have come from.
Yeah, there were times when my daughter was younger that, excuse me, she would see an Asian person and wonder if that person was somehow related to her mother, or her father. That's got to be kind of a haunting feeling, when you think about that. Mike, anything you'd care to add?
I remember real briefly, I can't remember if we were in church or at a restaurant, but when one of my daughters was quite young, she was, looking around, scanning around, and she looked at me and said, "That lady looks like me." And, there was an Asian gal seated there, and I said, "Yeah, she's beautiful." And I tell my girls, only because it's 100% true, they are beautiful.
Absolutely.
They are.
Yeah.